Dr. Lisa Martinez wiped the sweat from her forehead as she stared at the computer screen. The numbers made no sense. For the third time that day, her experiment had produced results that should have been impossible. The Lunar Research Station orbited Earth's moon in the year 2387. Lisa had been working there for 5 years, studying the strange forces that held the universe together. Dark matter was her specialty. This invisible stuff made up most of the universe, but no one really understood what it did. "Hey, Lisa, you look worried," said Dr. Bobby Chen as he walked into the lab. Bobby was her research partner and one of the smartest people she knew. "Did the particle accelerator break again?" Lisa shook her head. "No, it's working fine. Too fine, actually. Look at these readings." Bobby leaned over her shoulder to examine the data. His eyes grew wide. "This can't be right. According to this, you just moved dark matter. Like, actually moved it." "I know it sounds crazy," Lisa said, "but I've run the test 12 times. Every time I fire the particle beam at the dark matter field, it responds. It moves where I point it." For 50 years, humans had been part of the Galactic Council. They were the newest members, and most alien species treated them like children. Other races had technology that humans could barely understand. They could travel faster than light and build weapons that could destroy planets. But they all had one thing in common. None of them could control dark matter. Dark matter was like a ghost. You knew it was there because of how it affected other things, but you couldn't touch it or use it. The best scientists in the galaxy had tried for thousands of years. They had all failed. "What exactly were you trying to do?" Bobby asked. Lisa pulled up her notes on the screen. "I was just testing quantum fluctuations. You know, the normal stuff. I pointed the particle beam at what looked like empty space, but the sensors showed dark matter there. When I fired the beam, something unexpected happened." She played back the recording of her experiment. On the screen, they could see invisible forces moving like smoke in the wind. The dark matter swirled and danced as Lisa's machine touched it. "This is incredible," Bobby whispered. "Do you realize what this means?" Before Lisa could answer, an alarm started beeping. Both scientists looked at the main display. A red warning message flashed on the screen. "Unauthorized energy signature detected. Security alert." The door to the lab opened with a hiss. Captain Jake Sullivan walked in, followed by 2 security guards. Jake was the military liaison for the research station. He was a tall man with serious eyes and graying hair. "Dr. Martinez, Dr. Chen," Jake said. "We need to talk. The sensors picked up some kind of energy burst from your lab. What are you working on?" Lisa and Bobby exchanged glances. They both knew this moment would change everything. "Captain, you need to see this," Lisa said. She turned to her computer and started the demonstration again. This time, she was more careful. She showed Jake how the particle beam could push and pull the dark matter. She made it spin in circles and stretch into long shapes. The invisible force obeyed her commands like clay in the hands of an artist. Jake watched in silence for several minutes. When Lisa finished, he asked the question that would haunt her for years to come. "Dr. Martinez, could this be used as a weapon?" Lisa felt her stomach drop. She hadn't thought about weapons. She was a scientist, not a soldier. But as she looked at the data again, she realized Jake was right to ask. I suppose it could," she admitted. "Dark matter makes up most of the universe. If we could control it, we could do almost anything." Jake nodded slowly. "I need to make some calls. This information cannot leave this room. Do you understand?" Both scientists nodded. Jake and his guards left the lab, but Lisa knew they would be back soon, probably with a lot more people. That night, Lisa couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about what she had discovered. Every other species in the galaxy used normal matter for their technology. Their ships, weapons, and shields were all made from atoms and energy that humans could understand. But dark matter was different. It passed through normal matter like light through glass. If humans could weaponize it, their enemies' shields would be useless. Their armor would provide no protection. It would be like fighting ghosts. The next morning, Admiral Nicole Carter arrived at the station with a team of experts. Nicole was the commander of Earth's Space Forces. She was known for being tough, but fair. She listened carefully as Lisa explained her discovery. "How many people know about this?" Nicole asked. "Just the three of us and Captain Sullivan," Lisa replied. "Good, we're going to keep it that way for now." Nicole turned to her team. "I want a full analysis of this technology, figure out how it works, and what we can do with it." Over the next few weeks, Lisa worked with military scientists to understand her discovery better. They learned that dark matter could be shaped and controlled with the right kind of energy. It could be made solid or kept invisible. It could pass through walls or stop bullets. The most frightening discovery came when they tested it against alien technology. They borrowed some Zephyrian shield generators from the Council archives. These shields could stop any known weapon in the galaxy. The dark matter passed right through them. Dr. Sam Rodriguez, one of the military scientists, summed up what everyone was thinking. "This isn't just a new weapon. This is a complete game changer. No species in the galaxy has defenses against this." Admiral Carter made the decision that would reshape the galaxy. "We're going to build a ship, a prototype, something small that we can test in secret." The project was given the code name Nightfall. Within 6 months, human engineers had built the first dark matter-powered warship. It was smaller than a normal cruiser, but it could do things that seemed like magic. The ship could become invisible by wrapping itself in dark matter. It could phase through solid objects. Most terrifyingly, its weapons could strike targets from inside their own shields. Captain Danny Rodriguez was chosen to command the prototype ship. He was young but experienced, and he understood the weight of what he was carrying. "This ship changes everything," Admiral Carter told him during the handover ceremony. "The other species think they know what humans are capable of. They're about to learn they were wrong." As Danny stood on the bridge of the EDS Nightfall, he looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien civilizations went about their daily lives, unaware that a small group of humans had just unlocked the power to rewrite the rules of galactic warfare. Lisa Martinez watched the ship's first test flight from the observation deck. She felt proud of her discovery, but also afraid. She had wanted to understand the universe better. Instead, she had given humanity the power to terrify it. The discovery would remain secret for now, but Lisa knew that wouldn't last forever. Eventually, humanity would have to use this power. When that day came, the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Vex Corvani of the Zephyrian Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the human colony world through the main screen. Kepler 442b was a small planet on the edge of human space. Only 50,000 humans lived there, farming and mining the local resources. To Corvani, it was the perfect target. "Admiral," said his second-in-command, Captain Zara Helix, "our scouts report only 6 human ships defending the planet. All of them are old models. This should be easy." Corvani smiled, showing his sharp Zephyrian teeth. His species had ruled this part of the galaxy for 3,000 years. They were tall, blue-skinned beings with natural armor plating and a warrior culture. The idea that humans thought they belonged in the Galactic Council annoyed him greatly. "Good," Corvani said. "Today we remind these primitives of their place. We will destroy their defenses, capture some prisoners, and take their mining equipment. The Council will see that humans are too weak to deserve membership." The Zephyrian fleet was impressive. 12 massive dreadnoughts, each one the size of a city block. Their energy shields could stop any weapon humans possessed. Their plasma cannons could melt through the strongest human armor. On the planet below, Captain Danny Rodriguez received the alert that would change his life forever. Danny commanded the human defense fleet from his small cruiser, the EDS Guardian. He was 35 years old with brown hair and calm eyes. He had been expecting this day for months. "Sir," said his communications officer, Lieutenant Amy Foster, "we're being hailed by the Zephyrian fleet. Admiral Corvani wants to talk." "Put him on screen," Danny said. Corvani's fierce face appeared on the display. "Human Captain, I am Admiral Vex Corvani of the Zephyrian Empire. You will surrender this system immediately. Resist, and we will destroy you all." Danny kept his voice steady. "Admiral, this is a peaceful human colony under Council protection. You have no authority here." Corvani laughed. "Council protection? The Council does not care about your pathetic species. You are insects pretending to be equals. Stand down or be destroyed." The transmission ended. Danny turned to his crew. "All ships, prepare for battle, and get me a secure channel to Earth Command." Within minutes, Danny was speaking with Admiral Nicole Carter herself. The transmission was encrypted with the highest level of security. "Admiral," Danny said, "the Zephyrians are attacking with 12 dreadnoughts. My 6 ships won't last 5 minutes against them." Nicole's face was grim. "Captain, I'm about to give you authorization for something that will change everything. The prototype ship Nightfall is in your system. Commander Amy Foster has command. She has orders to assist you if attacked." Danny felt his heart skip a beat. He had heard rumors about a secret project, but he never imagined it was real. "What kind of ship is it?" he asked. "The kind that will give the Zephyrians nightmares," Nicole replied. "But Danny, once we use this technology, there's no going back. The whole galaxy will know what we're capable of." Danny looked at his tactical display. The Zephyrian ships were moving into attack position. His own ships were brave but outgunned. The colonists below were counting on him to protect them. "I understand, Admiral. Give the order." The battle began exactly as expected. The Zephyrian dreadnoughts opened fire with their massive plasma cannons. The human ships tried to dodge, but they were too slow. The EDS Courage took a direct hit and exploded. The EDS Defender lost its main engine and started drifting helplessly. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Foster from the tactical station, "we're losing. The Zephyrian shields are too strong. Our weapons can't penetrate them." Danny watched 2 more of his ships get destroyed. The colonists on the planet were probably watching their protectors die one by one. He felt helpless and angry. Then something appeared on his sensors that made no sense. "Captain," Foster said, her voice confused. "I'm reading a ship signature, but it's wrong. It's there, but not there. The computer can't lock onto it." On the main screen, space itself seemed to shimmer. Slowly, a ship materialized out of nothing. It was sleek and black, smaller than the other human vessels, but somehow more threatening. The EDS Nightfall had arrived. Admiral Corvani saw the new ship appear and laughed. "One more human vessel? This changes nothing. All ships, focus fire on the new target." 12 dreadnoughts turned their weapons toward the Nightfall. Enough firepower to destroy a moon erupted from their guns. The energy beams passed right through the human ship as if it wasn't there. "What?" Corvani whispered. "How is that possible?" Commander Amy Foster had taken command of the Nightfall only 2 weeks ago. She was young for such responsibility, but she understood the ship's capabilities better than anyone except its designers. She had brown eyes and short black hair, and right now she was very angry. "All weapons, target the Zephyrian flagship," she ordered. "Show them what dark matter can do." The Nightfall fired a single beam of invisible energy. From the outside, it looked like nothing had happened. But inside Admiral Corvani's ship, reality began to break down. The dark matter weapon passed through the ship's shields as if they didn't exist. It passed through the armor plating like it was made of air. When it reached the ship's core systems, it began to unmake them at the atomic level. Corvani watched in horror as sections of his ship simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not damaged, but gone as if they had never been built. His engineering deck vanished. His weapons systems disappeared. Finally, the ship's reactor was exposed to space and exploded. "Impossible," Corvani gasped as his flagship broke apart around him. "No weapon can penetrate Zephyrian shields." The Nightfall turned its attention to the next dreadnought. This time, Amy Foster decided to make the kill more dramatic. The dark matter beam carved through the enemy ship from nose to tail, splitting it perfectly in half. The remaining Zephyrian captains panicked. They had never seen anything like this. Their ships, which had conquered worlds, were being destroyed by weapons that ignored every defense they possessed. "All ships retreat," one of them screamed over the radio. "We cannot fight these weapons." but the nightfall was faster than anything they had ever seen. When it needed to, it could phase partially out of normal space, allowing it to move at incredible speeds. One by one, Amy Foster hunted down the fleeing dreadnoughts. Captain Danny Rodriguez watched from his damaged cruiser as the impossible battle unfolded. 10 minutes ago, he had been facing certain defeat. Now, a single human ship was destroying an entire Zephyrian fleet. "Captain," his communications officer reported, "I'm picking up a transmission from Admiral Corvani. It's on an open channel." "Put it through," Danny said. Corvani's voice filled the bridge, broken and terrified. "To all Zephyrian forces, to the Galactic Council. The humans have weapons beyond our understanding. They can strike through any defense. Nothing can stop them. Nothing can." The transmission cut off as his escape pod was destroyed. Within 20 minutes, the entire Zephyrian fleet was gone. 12 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy had been reduced to floating debris. The Nightfall hung in space like a dark angel, its weapons powered down, but ready. Amy Foster opened a channel to Danny's ship. "Captain Rodriguez, this is Commander Foster. The threat has been eliminated. How are your people?" Danny looked around his bridge. Half his crew was staring at their instruments in disbelief. The other half was staring at the Nightfall. "We're alive, Commander. Thanks to you. But what happens now?" Amy's voice was quiet when she replied, "Now the galaxy learns what humanity is really capable of, and everything changes." On Kepler 442b, the colonists emerged from their shelters to see the debris of the Zephyrian fleet burning in their sky. They had been saved, but they didn't understand how. Across the galaxy, other species monitored the battle through long-range sensors. The Kithara insect people chittered nervously in their hive ships. The crystalline Resonari sent urgent messages to their home worlds. The aquatic Aquarine called emergency sessions of their councils. All of them had the same question. How had humanity developed weapons that could ignore shields? Dr. Lisa Martinez received the battle report while she was working in her lab on Luna Station. She read it 3 times before the reality sank in. Her discovery had just been used in anger for the first time. 12 ships full of living beings had been destroyed by technology she had created. She felt sick and proud at the same time. Admiral Nicole Carter stood in the command center on Earth, watching real-time reports flood in from across human space. Every major alien government was demanding answers. The Galactic Council was calling emergency sessions. Some species were already moving their fleets to defensive positions. "Ma'am," said General Patricia Hayes, her chief of staff, "what are your orders?" Nicole looked at the tactical display showing human space. Their territory was small compared to the ancient empires that surrounded them, but now, for the first time since joining the Council, humans held the advantage. "Prepare the fleet," she said. "All ships with dark matter capability are to be ready for deployment. The galaxy is about to demand answers, and we need to be ready to give them." The battle at Kepler 442b lasted only 20 minutes, but those 20 minutes would echo through galactic history for generations to come. Humanity had announced itself as a major power in the most dramatic way possible, and the galaxy would never feel safe again. High Counselor Threx Valdoran had lived for 800 years. In all that time, he had never called an emergency session of the Galactic Council. The ancient Etherean stood 12 feet tall, his translucent blue skin glowing with inner light. His species had founded the Council 3,000 years ago, and they took their role as peacekeepers very seriously. Today, that peace was shattered. "The session will come to order," Threx announced, his voice echoing through the massive chamber on Nexus Prime. Representatives from 47 species filled the hall, their various forms creating a rainbow of alien life. The chamber fell silent. Even the insectoid Kithara stopped their constant chittering. "We are here to discuss the destruction of the Zephyrian fleet at Kepler 442b, Threx continued. 12 dreadnoughts were destroyed by a single human vessel using unknown technology. We need answers." Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat in the human delegations section, feeling the weight of hundreds of alien eyes upon her. Elena was Danny Rodriguez's sister, but where he was a soldier, she was a diplomat. She had been Earth's ambassador to the Council for 3 years. She had shoulder-length black hair and intelligent brown eyes that missed nothing. Elena knew this day would come. Ever since the battle report had reached Earth, the human government had been preparing for this moment. She carried with her the weight of her species' future. Ambassador Rodriguez, Threx said, "The Council demands an explanation. How did humanity develop weapons that can penetrate Zephyrian shields?" Elena stood slowly. Around her, alien representatives leaned forward. Some looked curious, others looked afraid, a few looked angry. "Honored Counselor," Elena began, "the human vessel was defending a peaceful colony from unprovoked attack. We acted within our rights under Council law." A harsh clicking sound filled the chamber. Hive Queen Zakth of the Cathara rose from her section. The insectoid's 4 arms gestured angrily as she spoke. "You avoid the question, human. We care not about your legal rights. We demand to know about these weapons that ignore our defenses." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Elena felt the mood turning hostile. "The technology is classified for security reasons," Elena replied carefully, "just as other species protect their military secrets." Counselor Meridian Kess of the aquatic aquarine species made a sound like angry water. Her blue, scaled body rippled with emotion. "This is different, human. Your weapons violate the fundamental laws of physics as we understand them. No energy can pass through our shield technology, yet somehow yours did." Elena had been briefed on what to say, but the reality of facing the assembled might of galactic civilization was overwhelming. These beings represented species that had ruled the stars for millennia. Their combined fleets could turn Earth to dust. But humanity now possessed something that made even these ancient powers afraid. While Elena faced the Council's questions, events were moving quickly on Earth. President Kevin Walsh sat in the Oval Office with his top advisors. On the screen before them, they watched the Council session through a secure transmission. "How long before they demand we hand over the technology?" asked Defense Secretary Linda Hayes. She was a tough woman in her 50s who had served in the military before entering politics. "Not long," replied General Patricia Hayes, Linda's younger sister and head of the Joint Chiefs. "Some of these species have been planning for war since the battle report came in. They're scared, and scared people do stupid things." President Walsh was a calm man who preferred diplomacy to conflict, but he understood the position humanity was in. "What's the status of our dark matter program?" he asked. Chief Engineer Bobby Chen pulled up a holographic display. "We have 15 ships equipped with the new technology. Another 30 are being retrofitted, but it will take months to upgrade our entire fleet." "Months we might not have," Linda Hayes observed. On the screen, they watched Elena field increasingly hostile questions from the alien representatives. She was doing well, but the pressure was building. Back on Nexus Prime, Counselor Kess made the demand that everyone had been expecting. "The Aquarine Republic calls for immediate inspection of all human military facilities. We must understand this technology to ensure galactic security." More voices joined in. The crystalline Resonari chimed their agreement in harmonic tones. The reptilian Drakmori hissed their support. Soon, dozens of species were demanding access to human military secrets. Elena remained calm, but inside she felt the walls closing in. "The human government cannot allow foreign inspection of classified facilities. This is a fundamental right of all council members." "Rights?" Queen Zakth clicked angrily. "You speak of rights while possessing weapons that make all our defenses useless. This threatens the balance of power that has kept the galaxy peaceful for thousands of years." Threx raised his hand for silence. The ancient Etherean's expression was troubled. "Ambassador Rodriguez, surely you understand our concern. If humanity possesses weapons that can penetrate any defense, what stops you from conquering the galaxy?" Elena had practiced this moment 100 times, but the reality was still difficult. "Honored Counselor, humanity has no desire for conquest. We seek only to protect ourselves and contribute to galactic civilization." Words. hissed General Kaz Bloodclaw of the Drakmori. The warrior species representative was covered in red scales and battle scars. Actions speak louder. Your actions have shown you can destroy any of us at will. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Dozens of species demanded immediate action. Some called for economic sanctions against humanity. Others suggested military intervention. Elena felt the situation spinning out of control. These species had coexisted for thousands of years by maintaining a careful balance of power. Humanity had just upset that balance in the most dramatic way possible. The session was interrupted by an urgent message. A junior Etherian aide whispered something in Threx's ear. The High Counselor's expression grew even more troubled. "I have just received word," Threx announced, "that a joint investigation fleet is being assembled. Ships from 12 Council species will travel to human space to ensure compliance with galactic security protocols." "Honored Counselor," Elena began, "the human vessel was defending a peaceful colony from unprovoked attack. We acted within our rights under Council law." A harsh clicking sound filled the chamber. Hive Queen Zak of the Kithara rose from her section. The insectoid's 4 arms gestured angrily as she spoke. "You avoid the question, human. We care not about your legal rights. We demand to know about these weapons that ignore our defenses." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Elena felt the mood turning hostile. "The technology is classified for security reasons," Elena replied carefully. "Just as other species protect their military secrets." Counselor Meridian Kess of the aquatic aquarine species made a sound like angry water. Her blue, scaled body rippled with emotion. "This is different, human. Your weapons violate the fundamental laws of physics as we understand them. No energy can pass through our shield technology. Yet somehow, yours did." Elena had been briefed on what to say, but the reality of facing the assembled might of galactic civilization was overwhelming. These beings represented species that had ruled the stars for millennia. Their combined fleets could turn Earth to dust. But humanity now possessed something that made even these ancient powers afraid. While Elena faced the Council's questions, events were moving quickly on Earth. President Kevin Walsh sat in the Oval Office with his top advisors. On the screen before them, they watched the Council session through a secure transmission. "How long before they demand we hand over the technology?" asked Defense Secretary Linda Hayes. She was a tough woman in her 50s who had served in the military before entering politics. "Not long," replied General Patricia Hayes, Linda's younger sister and head of the Joint Chiefs. "Some of these species have been planning for war since the battle report came in. They're scared, and scared people do stupid things." President Walsh was a calm man who preferred diplomacy to conflict, but he understood the position humanity was in. "What's the status of our dark matter program?" he asked. Chief Engineer Bobby Chen pulled up a holographic display. "We have 15 ships equipped with the new technology. Another 30 are being retrofitted, but it will take months to upgrade our entire fleet." "Months we might not have," Linda Hayes observed. On the screen, they watched Elena field increasingly hostile questions from the alien representatives. She was doing well, but the pressure was building. Back on Nexus Prime, Counselor Kess made the demand that everyone had been expecting. "The Aquarine Republic calls for immediate inspection of all human military facilities. We must understand this technology to ensure galactic security." More voices joined in. The crystalline Resonari chimed their agreement in harmonic tones. The reptilian Drakmori hissed their support. Soon, dozens of species were demanding access to human military secrets. Elena remained calm, but inside, she felt the walls closing in. "The human government cannot allow foreign inspection of classified facilities. This is a fundamental right of all council members." "Rights?" Queen Zakath clicked angrily. "You speak of rights while possessing weapons that make all our defenses useless? This threatens the balance of power that has kept the galaxy peaceful for thousands of years." Threx raised his hand for silence. The ancient Etherian's expression was troubled. "Ambassador Rodriguez, surely you understand our concern. If humanity possesses weapons that can penetrate any defense, what stops you from conquering the galaxy?" Elena had practiced this moment 100 times. but the reality was still difficult. Honored Counselor, humanity has no desire for conquest. We seek only to protect ourselves and contribute to galactic civilization. Words, hissed General Kaz Bloodclaw of the Drakmori. The warrior species representative was covered in red scales and battle scars. Actions speak louder. Your actions have shown you can destroy any of us at will. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Dozens of species demanded immediate action. Some called for economic sanctions against humanity. Others suggested military intervention. Elena felt the situation spinning out of control. These species had coexisted for thousands of years by maintaining a careful balance of power. Humanity had just upset that balance in the most dramatic way possible. The session was interrupted by an urgent message. A junior Etherian aide whispered something in Threx's ear. The High Counselor's expression grew even more troubled. I have just received word, Threx announced, that a joint investigation fleet is being assembled. Ships from 12 Council species will travel to human space to ensure compliance with galactic security protocols. Elena felt her heart sink. This was exactly what Earth had feared. An investigation fleet was just a polite way of saying invasion force. How many ships? She asked quietly. 200 vessels, Threx replied. They will arrive at the edge of your system in 3 days. Elena closed her eyes for a moment. 200 ships represented more firepower than humanity had ever faced. But she also knew something the Council didn't. Earth was ready for them. The session continued for several more hours, but the real decisions had already been made. The galaxy's major powers were sending a message to humanity. Submit to inspection or face the consequences. Elena transmitted a coded message to Earth. Storm clouds gathering, prepare for rain. On Earth, Admiral Nicole Carter received Elena's message while reviewing fleet dispositions. She turned to her staff. How many dark matter ships can we deploy to the edge of the system? She asked. 23, ma'am, replied Admiral Steve Miller, her second in command. Steve was a veteran commander who had served humanity for 30 years. The rest are still being fitted with the new technology. It will have to be enough, Nicole said. Alert all commanders. Operation Midnight is a go. Operation Midnight was humanity's contingency plan for exactly this situation. If the galactic powers tried to force their way into human space, Earth would demonstrate the true power of dark matter technology. Dr. Lisa Martinez worked frantically in her expanded laboratory. The military had given her unlimited resources to develop new applications for dark matter manipulation. She had teams of scientists working around the clock. Dr. Martinez, said her assistant, Dr. Sam Rodriguez, the new weapon configurations are ready for testing. Lisa looked at the designs on her screen. What she had discovered by accident was now being turned into instruments of war. She felt responsible for everything that was happening. Are you sure these will work? She asked. The simulations are positive, Sam replied, but we won't know for certain until we test them in real combat. Lisa nodded grimly. I hope we never have to find out. 3 days later, the Council investigation fleet arrived at the edge of human space. 200 ships from a dozen species, representing the combined might of galactic civilization. Their commanders were confident that sheer numbers would force humanity to submit. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Admiral Miller stood on the bridge of his flagship, the EDS Sovereign. Around him, 22 other dark matter-equipped ships waited in formation. They were vastly outnumbered, but Miller felt oddly confident. Incoming transmission from the investigation fleet, reported his communications officer. Put it through, Miller ordered. Counselor Kess appeared on the screen, her aquatic features stern. Human Admiral, I am Counselor Meridian Kess, commanding the Council Investigation Fleet. You will stand down and allow us to proceed to Earth for inspection. Miller had served in space for most of his adult life. He had always respected the Council and its authority. But today, things were different. Counselor Kess, you are entering human space without permission. Under Council law, I must ask you to withdraw. We have the authority of the full Council, Kess replied. Stand aside or be removed. Miller looked at his tactical display. 200 ships against 23. In conventional warfare, it would be a massacre. But dark matter technology had changed the rules of the game. I'm sorry, Counselor. but I cannot allow you to proceed." Kess's expression hardened. "Then you force us to use military action. All ships, prepare to engage the human fleet." The Council fleet began moving forward, their weapons charging. Miller gave the order that would shock the galaxy. "All ships, demonstrate dark matter capabilities. Target the lead vessels." What happened next defied everything the Council species thought they knew about warfare. The human ships seemed to flicker in and out of existence. They phased through the Council formation like ghosts, appearing inside enemy shield envelopes to deliver devastating strikes. The lead Council ship, a massive Kythara hive cruiser, simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next it was gone, not destroyed, but unmade at the quantum level. Panic spread through the Council fleet as more ships began disappearing. Their weapons couldn't lock onto targets that existed partially outside normal space. Their shields provided no protection against weapons that operated on the quantum level. In 15 minutes, 30 Council ships had been eliminated. The rest began a panicked retreat. Counselor Kess broadcast a final message before her own ship fled. "This is madness. You have weapons that violate the natural order. The Council will never accept this." Admiral Miller watched the enemy fleet disappear into hyperspace. He felt no joy in the victory. He knew that humanity had just crossed a line from which there would be no return. On Earth, President Walsh received the battle report in silence. Around him, his advisors waited for orders. "Mr. President," General Hayes said quietly, "the galaxy now knows what we're capable of. What are your orders?" Walsh looked out the window at the peaceful Earth sky. Somewhere up there, alien civilizations were probably planning humanity's destruction, or surrender. He wasn't sure which would be worse. "Prepare for war," he said finally, "because after today that's exactly what we're going to get." The demonstration at the edge of human space had been even more effective than the battle at Kepler 442b. Now the entire galaxy knew that humanity possessed weapons that made traditional defenses useless. The age of human terror had begun. The emergency council session had been going for 6 hours. Tempers were running high, and several species had already walked out. High Counselor Threx Valdoran watched helplessly as the galactic alliance that had lasted 3,000 years began to tear itself apart. "The humans must be stopped!" roared General Kaz Bloodclaw, his red scales glowing with anger. The Drakmori war chief stood at his full 8-foot height, his clawed hands slamming on the speaking podium. "They have made weapons that can destroy any of us. We cannot allow this threat to exist." Murmurs of agreement came from several sections. The hegemony of Scar, a militaristic species of gray-skinned humanoids, nodded their approval. The Void Hunters, mysterious beings in environmental suits, remained silent, but their body language suggested agreement. Ambassador Lyra Starweaver of the Centaurian Republic stood to respond. The Centaurians were known for their diplomatic skills and calm thinking. Lyra had flowing silver hair and wise blue eyes that had seen many conflicts. "General Bloodclaw speaks from fear, not wisdom," Lyra said calmly. "Yes, humanity has developed powerful weapons, but they have used them only in self-defense. Perhaps we should ask ourselves why they felt the need to develop such weapons at all." "Because they plan to conquer us," hissed Representative Vorth of the Scar hegemony. "It is what primitive species do when they gain power. They seek to dominate their betters." Threx raised his hand for silence. "The question before us is simple. Do we treat humanity as a threat to be eliminated, or as a member species to be negotiated with?" The chamber split along predictable lines. The warrior species wanted immediate action. The diplomatic species urged caution. The older, wiser civilizations remained silent, waiting to see which way the wind would blow. Queen Zakth of the Cathara made the proposal that would change everything. "I suggest a vote of no confidence in Human Council membership. If they will not submit to inspection, they should be expelled and treated as a rogue state." The vote was close. 24 species in favor, 23 against. By a single vote, humanity was expelled from the Galactic Council. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez watched the vote with growing horror. She had known this might happen. But the reality was still shocking. With one vote, humanity had been declared an enemy of galactic civilization. The human ambassador will leave immediately, Threx announced sadly. All human trade agreements are suspended. All human vessels are banned from Council space. Elena stood with dignity, though her heart was breaking. The human government will remember who stood with us today and who did not. History will judge whether you made the right choice. As Elena left the chamber, secret communications were already passing between the war faction species. General Bloodclaw met with Representative Vorth and Silent Speaker Nex of the Void Hunters in a secure room. The vote was just the beginning, Bloodclaw said. Now we must act before the humans can expand their weapons program. Vorth nodded. The hegemony can provide 200 ships. Our new plasma lance technology should be effective at long range. The Silent Speaker's translator device crackled to life. The Void Hunters will contribute 100 vessels. Our phase torpedoes may be able to track their ships even when they use their ghosting technology. Excellent. Bloodclaw grinned, showing rows of sharp teeth. The Drakmori will provide 150 ships. Combined, we will have 450 vessels. Even the humans cannot stand against such force. What none of them knew was that their meeting was being monitored. Ambassador Starweaver had suspected that the war faction would move quickly. She had placed listening devices in their private chambers. Within hours, she was transmitting a warning to Earth through secret channels. On Earth, the government was in crisis mode. President Walsh sat in the Situation Room with his top advisors, watching reports flood in from across human space. The trade embargo is already having effects, reported Secretary Linda Hayes. Our colony worlds depend on galactic commerce. They're starting to run short of essential supplies. What about our allies? Asked the president. Elena Rodriguez, who had returned from Nexus Prime only hours ago, shook her head. The Centaurians and Etherians want to help, but they can't openly oppose the Council. They'll provide what aid they can secretly, but it won't be enough. General Patricia Hayes brought up the military situation. Intelligence suggests 3 species are planning a joint attack. We estimate 400 to 500 ships. When? Asked President Walsh. Soon, maybe within the week. Dr. Lisa Martinez had been working without sleep for 3 days. The military had given her teams unlimited resources to prepare for the coming war. Her laboratory had been expanded into an entire complex, with hundreds of scientists working on dark matter applications. Status report, she said to her assistant, Dr. Sam Rodriguez. We've completed the upgrades on 60 ships, Sam replied. The new quantum disruptor technology is ready for field testing, and we've finished the theoretical work on the planet killer weapon. Lisa stopped working and looked at him. Planet killer? Dark matter manipulation on a massive scale. We could theoretically destabilize a planet's core, causing it to tear itself apart from within. Lisa felt sick. Please tell me we're not actually building that. Admiral Carter says it's a last resort option only, but yes, the plans are being prepared. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert. Captain Ryan Park of the Deep Space Reconnaissance Vessel, EDS Shadowhawk, was requesting immediate contact with Earth Command. Ryan was one of humanity's best scout commanders. He had been monitoring the edges of known space for signs of enemy fleet movements. What he had discovered made his blood run cold. Admiral Carter, Ryan reported via secure transmission. I've found them. The combined fleet is assembling in the Vale Nebula. It's bigger than we thought. Nicole Carter felt her stomach drop. How many ships, Captain? Over 400, maybe closer to 500. Drakmori, Scar, and Void Hunter vessels. They're organizing into attack formations. How long until they're ready to move? Best estimate is 10 days. Admiral, there's something else. They're not just planning to attack our military. Intelligence suggests they intend to bombard our colony worlds as well. Nicole closed her eyes. This was what she had feared most. The alien species weren't just planning to defeat humanity militarily. They wanted to destroy human civilization entirely. Thank you, Captain. Maintain surveillance and report any changes. The next morning, President Walsh addressed the global parliament. The chamber was packed with representatives from every nation on Earth. The mood was grim. "Fellow humans," Walsh began, "we face the greatest threat in our species' history. 500 enemy ships are preparing to attack not just our military, but our civilian populations. They intend to commit genocide." The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some representatives called for immediate surrender, others demanded total war. Senator Chris Anderson of the Pacific Federation stood to speak. "Mr. President, perhaps we should consider negotiation if we offered to share our technology in exchange for peace." "They're not interested in peace," interrupted General Hayes. "Intelligence shows they plan to destroy our colonies regardless of what we offer. They see us as a threat that must be eliminated." The debate raged for hours. In the end, the vote was close but decisive. Earth would fight. That evening, Admiral Carter stood in the command center, looking at the tactical display. Earth's defense fleet was impressive by human standards, 120 ships. 60 of them were now equipped with dark matter technology, but they would be facing nearly 500 enemy vessels commanded by species with thousands of years of military experience. "Admiral," said Admiral Steve Miller, "what are your orders?" Nicole looked around the room at her staff. These were good people who had dedicated their lives to protecting humanity. In 10 days, many of them would probably be dead. "We make our stand at the edge of the system," she said finally. "If they want to reach Earth, they'll have to go through us." Dr. Sam Rodriguez worked frantically to complete the weapon upgrades. The new quantum disruptor technology was theoretical. They had never tested it in real combat. "Will it work?" asked Chief Engineer Bobby Chen. "The simulations look good," Sam replied, "but dark matter physics is still new to us. We're basically using weapons we don't fully understand against enemies whose capabilities we can only guess at." "Reassuring," Bobby said dryly. The next few days passed in a blur of preparation. Ships were retrofitted with new weapons. Defense platforms were positioned around Earth and the major colonies. Civilian populations were evacuated from the most vulnerable worlds. On Lunar Research Station, Lisa Martinez made final adjustments to the dark matter generation equipment. She had come a long way from the scientist who accidentally discovered dark matter manipulation. Now, she was one of the architects of humanity's last hope. "Dr. Martinez," said a voice behind her. She turned to see Admiral Carter. "Admiral, I didn't expect to see you here." "I wanted to thank you personally," Nicole said. "Your discovery may be the only thing that saves our species." Lisa felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on her. "I just hope it's enough." On the 8th day, Captain Park reported that the enemy fleet was beginning to move. The war that would decide humanity's fate was about to begin. In the Veil Nebula, General Bloodclaw stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Fang. Around him, nearly 500 ships from 3 species prepared for the attack. "Today we end the human threat forever," he announced to his fleet. "Show no mercy. They have brought this upon themselves." Representative Vorth agreed. "The galaxy will be safer once these primitives are eliminated." Only the silent speaker expressed any doubt. "The humans have surprised us before. We should not underestimate them." "They have perhaps 60 ships with their new weapons," Bloodclaw replied. "We have 500. Numbers will prevail." The combined fleet entered hyperspace, heading for human space. They expected to arrive in 2 days. On Earth, President Walsh made one final address to humanity. Every person on every human world watched as their leader spoke. "My fellow humans, we stand at a crossroads. The galaxy has rejected us, feared us, and now seeks to destroy us. But we will not go quietly into the night. We will fight for our right to exist among the stars. And when the history of this moment is written, let it be said that humanity faced impossible odds with courage and determination." The fleet that would defend humanity gathered at the edge of the solar system. 120 human ships against 500 alien vessels. The dark matter weapons gave them an advantage. but it might not be enough. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, an armada was coming to destroy everything she had sworn to protect. "Ma'am," reported her communications officer, "we're receiving a message from the Centaurian Republic. Ambassador Starweaver says, 'Good luck, and may wisdom prevail.'" Nicole smiled grimly. At least someone in the galaxy was rooting for them. "All ships, this is Admiral Carter. The enemy will arrive in approximately 36 hours. Use the time to rest and prepare. Tomorrow we find out if humanity has a future among the stars." The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin. Admiral Tracy Morgan stood on the bridge of the EDS Prometheus, watching the edge of human space through the main display. She was 45 years old with gray hair and steady hands that had never shaken, even in the worst battles. Today, they would be tested like never before. The human defense fleet hung in space like a small constellation. 120 ships against the largest armada ever assembled in galactic history. But 50 of those human ships carried dark matter weapons that could unmake reality itself. "Admiral," reported Lieutenant Holly Davis from the sensor station, "long-range scanners are detecting hyperspace signatures, multiple contacts, bearing 27 Mark IV. Tracy felt her heart skip a beat. "How many?" "Still counting, ma'am. At least 400, 450, 500 confirmed contacts." The enemy had arrived. General Kaz Bloodclaw emerged from hyperspace aboard his flagship, the Crimson Fang. The massive Drakmori dreadnought was 3 times the size of the largest human ship, bristling with plasma cannons and missile launchers. Around him, 500 ships from 3 species formed the largest battle fleet in recorded history. "There they are," Bloodclaw said, pointing at the human formation. 100 ships to our 500. This will be easier than I thought." Representative Vorth of the Scar Hegemony stood beside him. "Remember, no survivors. The human species must be completely eliminated." The silent speaker of the Void Hunters said nothing, but their ship formation suggested agreement with the battle plan. Admiral Morgan opened a communication channel to all human ships. "This is Admiral Morgan to all vessels. Today we fight not just for ourselves, but for the future of our species. Remember your training. Trust in your ships, and show the galaxy what humanity is capable of." The alien fleet began moving forward in perfect formation. Hundreds of ships advancing like a wall of death. Their plan was simple: overwhelm the human defenders with superior numbers, then proceed to Earth for the final bombardment. They had no idea what they were about to face. Commander Alex Turner commanded the Dark Matter Squadron aboard the EDS Voidbreaker. His ship was one of the newest designs, built specifically to use the terrifying weapons that Dr. Martinez had perfected. Alex was young for such responsibility, but he understood dark matter technology better than almost anyone. "All dark matter ships, this is Commander Turner. Prepare for Phase 1 tactics. We're going to show them why they should have left us alone." Phase 1 was humanity's opening gambit. Instead of meeting the enemy head-on, the dark matter ships would phase partially out of normal space, becoming nearly invisible to conventional sensors. "Initiating dark matter cloak," reported Alex's tactical officer, Lieutenant Sam Wilson. "We're now existing approximately 60% outside normal space-time." From the alien fleet's perspective, 50 human ships simply vanished. General Bloodclaw stared at his tactical display in confusion. "Where did they go? Ships don't just disappear." "Unknown, General," replied his sensor operator. "We're detecting massive quantum fluctuations, but no solid contacts." "It doesn't matter," Bloodclaw snarled. "Continue the attack. Destroy the ships we can see." The alien fleet opened fire with everything they had. Plasma beams, particle lances, and fusion missiles erupted from 500 ships. The conventional human vessels tried to dodge, but they were vastly outnumbered. The EDS Guardian, commanded by Captain Danny Rodriguez, took a direct hit from a Scar plasma lance. The ship's shields flickered and failed. "Hull breach on decks 4 and 5, reported his damage control officer. "We're losing atmosphere." "Seal the breaches," Danny ordered. "All weapons, return fire." But the human conventional weapons barely scratched the alien ship's advanced armor. It looked like a massacre in the making. Then the dark matter ships struck back. The EDS Voidbreaker materialized inside the enemy formation, appearing literally within the shield envelope of a massive Drakmori cruiser. Alex Turner gave the order that would haunt alien nightmares for generations. Fire quantum disruptors. The dark matter weapons tore through the enemy ship from the inside. The alien vessel didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, unmade at the atomic level. Where a kilometer-long warship had been moments before, there was now only empty space. Across the battlefield, 50 dark matter ships appeared inside the enemy formation, like ghosts materializing from a nightmare. Each one targeted a different alien vessel. Representative Vorth watched in horror as his flagship's sister ship simply vanished. "How are they doing this? Our shields should stop any weapon." "The weapons aren't passing through our shields," his science officer reported, voice shaking. "They're bypassing them entirely, operating on a quantum level we can't defend against." The silent speaker's translator crackled with what might have been panic. "All ships, spread formation. Don't let them appear inside our defense perimeters." But it was too late for conventional tactics. The human ships could phase in and out of normal space at will. They appeared, fired, and vanished before the aliens could respond. Dr. Lisa Martinez watched the battle from Earth Command, monitoring the performance of her weapons in real combat. The quantum disruptors were working perfectly, but she felt sick watching ships full of living beings simply cease to exist. "Dr. Martinez," said Admiral Carter, standing beside her, "your weapons are saving our species." "I know," Lisa replied quietly. "I just hope the cost isn't too high." On the battlefield, the alien fleet was beginning to panic. In 15 minutes, they had lost over 100 ships to an enemy they couldn't even target properly. General Bloodclaw tried to rally his forces. "All ships, focus fire on the human conventional vessels. If we can't hit their ghost ships, we'll destroy what we can see." The strategy worked initially. Several human ships were destroyed or heavily damaged, but then Admiral Morgan authorized Phase 2 of the battle plan. "All dark matter ships implement the Terra Protocol." Commander Turner smiled grimly. The Terra Protocol was designed not just to win battles, but to break enemy morale completely. Instead of quick strikes, the dark matter ships began systematically hunting individual alien vessels. They would appear next to an enemy ship, disable its weapons and engines with precise strikes, then move on to the next target. The psychological effect was devastating. Alien crews watched helplessly as their ships were crippled one by one, unable to fight back against an enemy that could strike from nowhere. "General," reported one of Bloodclaw's captains, "this is Captain Grex aboard the Battle Talon. My weapons are gone. My engines are failing. The humans, they're toying with us." "Stand your ground," Bloodclaw roared. "Fight to the last ship." But his fleet was already beginning to break. Some ships tried to retreat. Others attempted desperate ramming attacks. Nothing worked against enemies that could simply phase out of normal space when threatened. The turning point came when Commander Turner made a decision that would echo through galactic history. Instead of destroying the enemy command ship, he decided to capture it. The Voidbreaker appeared directly on the bridge of the Crimson Fang. Not next to it, inside it. The human ship materialized within the alien vessel's command center, its dark matter hull passing through the enemy's armor like it was made of air. General Bloodclaw found himself staring at a human ship that had somehow appeared in the middle of his bridge. His crew ran in panic as reality seemed to break down around them. Alex Turner's voice came through the ship's communication system. "General Bloodclaw, this is Commander Turner of the Earth Defense Force. You are defeated. Order your fleet to surrender." Bloodclaw's pride wouldn't let him yield. "Never! The Drakmori do not surrender to primitives." "Then watch your fleet die." Turner gave a demonstration that broke the alien general's will. The Voidbreaker's dark matter projectors reached out and began systematically disintegrating parts of Bloodclaw's ship. Sections of hull, weapons systems, and crew quarters simply vanished. "Stop!" Bloodclaw screamed. "Please stop! We surrender!" The general's surrender order went out on all frequencies. Across the battlefield, alien ships began powering down their weapons and raising surrender flags. In 2 hours, the largest military fleet in galactic history had been defeated by a force 1/5 its size. Admiral Morgan surveyed the aftermath. Of the 500 enemy ships, nearly 200 had been destroyed or disabled. The rest were fleeing in panic. Humanity had lost only 15 conventional vessels. All ships, this is Admiral Morgan. Pursue fleeing enemy vessels and ensure they leave human space. Show mercy to those who surrender, but make it clear that any future attacks will be met with total annihilation. The message was received clearly. Within 6 hours, every surviving alien ship had fled human space. President Walsh addressed the galaxy from Earth. His speech was broadcast on all council channels, ensuring that every species would hear humanity's terms. To the governments of the galaxy, Walsh began, humanity has today demonstrated the futility of military action against us. We did not seek this conflict, but we will not hesitate to defend ourselves. However, we do not wish to be the galaxy's enemy. We propose a new treaty, the Soul Accords. Under these terms, humanity will serve as a protector of galactic peace, while other species maintain their independence and dignity. To those who attacked us, consider this a lesson. To those who remained neutral, we remember your wisdom. To those who secretly supported us, we will not forget your friendship. High Counselor Threx Valdoran received the human proposal in his chambers on Nexus Prime. The ancient Etherian had watched the battle through long-range sensors, witnessing the impossible defeat of 500 ships by a human force that should have been overwhelmed. "Counselor," said his aide, "the war faction leaders are requesting emergency asylum. They fear human retaliation." Threx considered the request. General Bloodclaw, Representative Vorth, and the Silent Speaker had started this war. Now they were begging for protection from the very species they had tried to destroy. Grant them sanctuary, Threx decided, but make it clear that they will face justice for their actions. Dr. Lisa Martinez stood in her laboratory, finally allowing herself to rest after days of constant work. Her discovery had saved humanity, but at a terrible cost. Thousands of alien beings had died in the battle. "Dr. Martinez," said Dr. Sam Rodriguez, "incoming message from the Centaurian Republic. Ambassador Starweaver wants to discuss peaceful applications of dark matter technology." Lisa smiled for the first time in weeks. "Put her through. It's time to turn our weapons into tools for peace." Over the following months, the Soul Accords were negotiated and signed. Humanity became the galaxy's primary military power, but used that power to protect rather than conquer. The Zephyrian Empire, humbled by their earlier defeat, was among the first to sign. The Kithara and Resonari quickly followed. Even some of the war faction species eventually agreed to the new terms. Admiral Tracy Morgan was promoted to Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces. Her first act was to establish joint training programs between human and alien crews. Commander Alex Turner became the head of the new Dark Matter Research Institute, working with Dr. Martinez to develop peaceful applications of the technology. Captain Danny Rodriguez was given command of a new class of ships designed for exploration rather than war. His mission, to venture beyond the galaxy's edge and search for new civilizations that might threaten the peace. The battle that had lasted only 2 hours had reshaped galactic civilization forever. Humanity had gone from outcasts to protectors in a single day. But the greatest change was in humanity itself. They had learned that with great power came even greater responsibility. The weapons that could unmake reality would now be used to preserve it. Dr. Martinez's final log entry summed up the transformation. "We discovered the power to destroy anything in the universe. Instead, we chose to protect everything in it. Perhaps that's what makes us human." The galaxy was safe. And for the first time since joining the Council, humanity truly belonged among the stars. In the end, the species that the galaxy had feared became the guardians they never knew they needed. And the dark matter weapons that had terrified civilizations became the tools that kept the peace. The age of human terror had ended. The age of human protection had begun.